Okay, hi everybody. My name is Helen.
嗨，大家好，这个是 Helen 李小姐。
谢谢。I will be the moderator tonight, and the presenter will be Charlene 蔡小姐 in English and Amy in Mandarin.
李小姐是我们今天的主持人，然后主要的讲话的人会是我蔡小姐，我会是讲中文部分，然后 Amy 会讲英文部分。
Sorry, I mixed up. Okay, so first of all, we want to acknowledge the VPL and Will, who is not online right now, for their hard work in helping us reach out to the public.
我们想要谢谢，就是再一次就是这个 VPL 还有刚才的 Will，就是来让我们大家可以聚在这里。
AC is organization, and then we will provide to help to complete your legal forms and to help you prepare for your virtual appearances for free.
我们 AC 就是法庭之友这个机构，我们可以帮你完成你的法庭表格，或者是帮你准备你的出庭。
The presentation today will be from 6 to 7 p.m.
今天的这个讲座是从6点到7点。
And then the questions will be posed in the chat box. So I'll be moderating the questions after the presentation.
然后如果你任何时候有问题的话，可以放在聊天室这边，然后 Helen 会注意的。然后 sorry, go ahead.
So the questions will be answered from 7 to 7:30.
问题你们放在这个聊天室的问题会在7点到7点半之间有时间帮大家回答。
And also we can help make appointments from 7 to 7:30 p.m. for people who really need like more personal help.
如果你有法庭表格想要我们帮您填，或者是出庭想要让我们帮您做准备的话，7点到7点半这个时间，我们也可以帮你做我们服务的预约。
Next slide, please. Can we have the land acknowledgement? Will has actually do it for us, so I believe we can go ahead. So this will be the outline, and I'll hand over to Amy and Charlene.
Hi, everyone. My name's Amy. It's nice to meet you all. I want to start off and just go over a brief outline over today's discussion regarding divorce in BC.
我们现在开始讲一下今天我们要谈的所有的话题的大纲。
So we're going to start off by going over some general information on divorce.
我们今天的主题是在卑诗省的离婚，然后主要是讲无争议的离婚。然后第一个话题我们会讲关于离婚的一般信息。
We're going to go over a recap of our last session.
然后我们接下来会大概的讲一下上次我们讲座的内容。
What is an uncontested divorce?
然后接下来我们会讲什么是无争议离婚，就是今天主要的话题。
The difference between a sole or a joint application for uncontested divorce.
然后接下来谈单独离婚跟联合离婚申请的分别。
And then touch on some upcoming sessions we will be hosting in the future in our family law series.
然后接下来最后我们会讲到我们未来可能会有的讲座。
So here's some general information on divorce.
接下来我们要讲有关离婚的一般信息。
So for divorce, you must apply to the Supreme Court of BC.
离婚申请一定要向卑诗省最高法院申请。
The majority of people apply on grounds of being separated for more than 1 year, rarely on the grounds of cruelty or adultery.
然后这些资讯都是如果你要在卑诗省申请离婚的话，如果是别的省的话就是不一样。然后绝大多数的人都会以分居1年以上为理由提出离婚申请，非常少数的人会以配偶外遇或者是配偶残忍对待你的理由来申请。
We do encourage that everyone get advice and understand your rights and obligations regarding parenting, child support, spousal support, and property division prior to applying for a divorce.
在您真的申请离婚之前，我们会强烈的建议你去获得法律建议，并且了解您在子女抚养权、抚养费、配偶赡养费还有财产分割方面您的权利还有义务。
So next, we're going to go over a recap of what we discussed in our last session.
然后接下来就是我们以下上一次的讲座所谈过的话题。
Last session, we presented an overview of family law issues, including children, spousal support, property and debt division, as well as other urgent matters.
上一次的讲座呢，我们概括的谈了子女抚养权与抚养费的问题、配偶赡养费、财产分割，还有一些其他家庭经济事务。
We do have that session recorded online, and you can find it at our YouTube channel named AC Friends of Court. And the video is titled, I Want a Divorce, My Legal Options in BC.
您可以在我们的 YouTube 网站上，我们 YouTube 的网站名称是 AC Friends of Court， 然后你可以在我们的 YouTube 网站上找到上一次的讲座的录影的影片，然后那个影片叫做 I Want a Divorce, My Legal Options in BC， 我想离婚在卑诗省法律上的选择。然后 Amy 在那个我们的聊天室这边放了上次我们讲座的连结，如果您要看的话，可以点进去看。
So I've put a link to that YouTube video in the chat box, and if you're curious, you can save that link for future viewing. So now we're going to discuss what is an uncontested divorce.
现在我们要来谈今天主要的话题，就是无争议离婚。
An uncontested divorce is when both spouses want to get a divorce and they agree on all family law issues.
无争议离婚就是如果双方配偶都想离婚，并且他们所有的家庭法问题都已经达成了协议。
If that's the case, then you can probably apply for an uncontested divorce using either one of two methods, a joint application or a sole application.
如果这是你的情况的话，那您有可能就可以申请联合申请或者是单独申请无争议离婚。
So does your situation qualify for uncontested divorce?
您的情况是否符合无争议离婚的条件呢？
In order to apply for uncontested divorce, both spouses must agree on all family law issues and want to get a divorce.
双方配偶都必须在所有家庭法问题都达成一致，并且希望离婚。
Either of the spouses, one of the spouses must have lived in BC for at least 1 year prior to starting the divorce.
然后其中一方在离婚前必须在卑诗省居住了至少1年。
Both spouses must have been separated for at least 1 year.
然后必须得分居了至少1年。
And not applying for divorce on grounds of cruelty or adultery.
然后不以虐待或者是外遇为理由来申请离婚。
The next is not required, but it is helpful if you already have a written agreement or orders for the following: parenting, child support, spousal support, and property and debt division.
然后虽然这不是必要的，但是如果您已经有相关以下事项的书面协议，那这会对您的离婚申请的成功率有帮助。然后就是以下协议就是有相关抚养权、抚养费、赡养费或是财产分割这方面的协议。
So there are some fees associated with applying for a divorce, and here are the basic fees for an uncontested divorce.
以下是无争议离婚的基本费用。
So for the first filing,
第一次向法院提交文件，
you must file a notice of family claim or a notice of joint family claim, which will be $200.
所以第一次向法院提交的时候，必须提交家庭索赔通知或者是联合家庭索赔通知，那这就在法院开始了您的家庭法案件。然后一次这个申请这个提交的话，费用是200块加币。
You must also file a registration of divorce proceedings for $10.
然后同时也要提交离婚诉讼登记。
And for the final filing,
Actually, Amy, I'm just going to add something.
okay, sure, go for it.
So all these steps, even though it's under the title of uncontested divorce, these are all steps that you would take even if you had a contested divorce. Once you've resolved all those contested issues at court, at the very end, when you're applying for divorce, you would follow all these steps too. So generally, so it's good knowledge to know if eventually your goal is to get a divorce, even if beforehand you have some contested issues that you have to deal with at court. So I can just translate it for myself. 所以就是现在我们虽然主要的话题是无争议离婚，但是就算您的状况现在跟您的配偶可能在家庭法里面的这些议题有分支，有不同的意见，虽然可能你现在必须要上法庭，或者是必须要找律师来帮你处理这件事情，但是这些事情全部都处理完之后，最后你要申请离婚的时候，还是大概是要 follow， 要跟随接下来我们要谈的这些步骤。所以如果离婚是你最后的目标的话，那接下来我们所谈的东西也会对你有帮助。Okay, so 然后 Yeah, can you say the final filing?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So filing the final documents for divorce will cost you $80.
OK， 然后所以刚才讲过了，第一次向法庭提交文件大概是200块加100，然后最后还要再提交一些文件，那这些加起来是80块。
So there are some other costs that may be needed.
然后还会有一些其他的费用，如果需要的话。
For affidavits sworn at court, they will be $40 each.
在法庭宣誓书的话是40块。
Obtaining a original marriage certificate in BC will be $27.
在卑诗省取得结婚证原件的话是27块。
Translating a marriage certificate, the cost is dependent on how much a translator charges.
翻译结婚证的费用，如果您的结婚证明不是英文的话，如果需要翻译的话，那这个费用就取决于翻译人员收取多少费用。
A process server for serving file documents is also dependent on how much the process server charges.
文件送达人员的费用也是取决于这个文件送达人员的费用多少。
And a certificate of divorce will be $40.
然后离婚证明的费用是40块钱。
So the costs for the above items that we just spoke about, some of them can't be waived, and that would be obtaining the original marriage certificate, translation of the marriage certificate if it's not in English, and a process server if they're required. Those are fees that you'll probably have to pay out of pocket for.
以上就是有星号的这些项目，就是第2个、第3个和第4个是不能够免除费用的，其他的都是要付给法院的，所以呢，您可能可以申请费用免除，但是这些有打星号的是不能够免除费用的。
So next, we're going to go over a fee waiver if it's applicable to your situation.
接下来我们非常简短的来讲一下费用免除的申请。
So in order to obtain a fee waiver, you'll have to first file a requisition in Form F-17.
第一个你要提交正式申请书表格17。
And when you fill out the requisition, you'll have to type the following phrase: file an application for an order to waive fees under the section required.
当您填写正式请求书表格 F17时，在必填下填入提交费用免除令的申请。
You also have to file a draft order to waive fees in Form 85.
然后同时也要提交免除费用令表格 F85。
And also an affidavit in support of an order to waive fees in Form 86.
然后也要同时提交支持费用免除令的宣誓书表格 F86。
If the divorce is a joint application, then the spouses would make a joint fee waiver application.
如果离婚申请是联合申请的话，那么配偶将一起提出联合费用免除申请。
If the divorce application is a sole application, then each spouse that wants to apply for a fee waiver would apply separately.
如果离婚申请是单独申请的，那么每一个想要申请费用免除的配偶将分别自己申请。
It does sound a little complicated, so if you ever find yourself needing assistance with filling out the necessary forms that we just spoke about for a fee waiver, AC can help you with the steps that we just discussed.
这些可能听起来都有一点复杂，然后有很多表格要填，所以呢，如果您有这个方面需要帮忙的话，您可以就是跟我们做预约。
We will be providing details, I think, after the discussion in terms of how to make an appointment, or there will be volunteers available to help you make an appointment right
然后
after the Q&A.
在我们讲座的最后，就像刚才说的，从7点到7点半这个时间，我们会有义工可以帮您做预约。
So next, we're going to go over the 2 ways to apply for an uncontested divorce.
接下来我们要谈单独离婚申请，还有联合离婚申请。
So one way is a sole application for uncontested divorce, where only one party is involved in filling out the forms.
单独离婚申请的话呢，就是只有一方参与填写这些表格。
And the second method is a joint application for uncontested divorce, where both parties are involved in filling out the forms.
联合离婚申请就是双方都参与填写表格。
And today we're only going to go over the process of a sole application for uncontested divorce. The process for joint application is similar, but with fewer steps. So if you choose to use the joint application process, this discussion of the sole application process will also be helpful to you.
我们今天就是主要是来谈这个单独离婚申请的步骤。联合离婚申请的这个步骤会比较少一些，然后也有些部分比较简单，但是他们的步骤是非常的相似的，所以您如果最后决定要用联合离婚申请的话，那今天我们所谈到的这个单独离婚申请也会对你很有帮助，因为他们的步骤是还蛮相似的。然后 Go ahead.
And at AC, we have prepared a handout comparing the 2 processes, which have been uploaded to our Eventbrite page. So if you have access, you can go up there and download it. And I think if not, you're welcome to email us, and we'll provide the email address at the end of the session, and we can forward those handouts to you as well.
OK， 然后如果您对这个有单独离婚跟联合离婚的申请这些步骤有兴趣，或者是想要得到更多资讯的话，我们有准备了一个一个文件，里面就是有写下来这个单独跟联合离婚申请的步骤，然后它们的相似还有不同点。如果您想要这个文件的话，如果您是在Eventbrite 来注册我们今天这个活动的话，那您在那个注册的页面就可以看到我们的这个资讯。或者是如果您没有收到或者是找不到的话，你也可以email 我们这个我们的 email 在最后会给你们，会在最后这个讲座最后会在荧幕上，所以呢，如果你想要得到这个更多资讯的话，最后就是 email 给我们，然后我们就把东西传给你。
So the first step in a sole application for uncontested divorce would be to complete the notice of family claim, Form F3, and a registration of divorce proceedings form.
第一步呢，在这个单独离婚申请，就是要完成家庭索赔通知表格 F3， 还有离婚诉讼登记。
So I'm now actually sharing the notice of family claim. Can everyone see it? Do you see on your screen, Charlie? Okay, awesome. So this is what the step 1 we just spoke about, what it looks like. As you can see, it can be quite complex.
Yeah， 所以现在 Amy 给我们看到的，在它这个荧幕上面的就是家庭索赔通知表格 F3， 就是这个表格，就是我们刚才有谈到，就是你要向法庭提交这个来开始你的家庭法案件。那这个表格可能如果没有填过的人会觉得有点长，有点复杂，但是就是大概就是长这个样子。
It does ask you for information about your relationship and marriage.
它这里面有问一些您的资讯，譬如说您的婚姻关系，然后你们什么时候结婚，什么时候分居这些，还有孩子的资讯，这里面都是要填的。
Back to the slides. Okay, and then after that, the step 1, next is step 2. You'll have to file the completed notice of family claim form F3 and make 3 copies and bring some money because it will be $200.
然后第二步就是要提交，刚才我们所看到这个家庭索赔通知表格 F3，然后就像刚才提到的这个提交的话是200块钱，然后提交之前呢要准备3份影本跟这个原件一起带去法庭。
Next is the registration of divorce proceedings, which needs to be filed. And once again, that will be $10.
所以然后同一时间呢也要提交这个离婚诉讼登记，像刚才说的一次的话是提交是10块钱。
And lastly, certificate of marriage. And if it's not in English, once again, you'll have to get a certified translation and an affidavit of translation.
然后同一时间呢，除了前面刚才讲的这两个文件，接下来最后你也要一起同一时间提交你的结婚证明。如果您的结婚证明不是英文的，例如您在中国或者是别的地方结婚，那您必须获得认证的翻译，还有翻译宣誓书，对。
And then another step, step 3, you'll have to serve the notice of family claim form F3 on your spouse.
然后第3步就是您已经填写好了刚才所说的那些表格，然后已经交给了那个法庭的登记处。那接下来您就是要把您的这个家庭索赔通知表格 F3 亲自的让您的配偶收到。
You have to have an adult that cannot be yourself or hire a process server, which will cost you some money, to serve your spouse personally the filed copy of notice of family claim form F3 and if applicable, the filed copy of affidavit of translation.
然后但是呢，您这个是不能够让您自己不能够把这个家庭索赔通知拿给你的配偶，必须得请一个不是您的成年人，或者是雇佣一名文件送达人员，把以下的这些拿给您的配偶，就是把这个您刚才已提交的家庭索赔通知书副本，然后加上如果您有这个翻译宣誓书的副本，这些都要亲自的让您的配偶收到。然后就像刚才所提到的，文件送达人员他们可以帮你做这个动作，但是他们会有额外的费用。
And after your spouse is served, the person who did the service must give you an affidavit of personal service in form F15.
然后接下来如果您的配偶这些文件已经送达您的配偶之后，送达人必须向您提供一份个人送达宣誓书表格 F15。
The next step is to wait 30 days.
接下来就是要等30天。
Your spouse has 30 days to respond to your notice of family claim. If your spouse agrees with the divorce, they do not need to respond.
然后接下来您的配偶有30天的时间，在法律上有30天的时间做回应，在他们收到了您的这个家庭索赔通知之后，他们有30天可以做回应。但是如果他们同意您的离婚的话，就是这个无争议离婚的话，他们应该就是同意了这个离婚，那他们就不需要做任何的回应。但是您还是要等30天才可以做下一步。
After the 30 days, or step 5, you'll have to fill out the next forms.
所以您的30天之后呢，就可以接下来完成以下的表格。
So the first one is the affidavit desk order divorce in form F38.
第一个表格是无开庭离婚的宣誓书表格 F38。
a child support affidavit, Form F-37, attaching any agreements or orders respecting child support as an exhibit.
然后第二个表格就是抚养费的宣誓书，表格 F37。如果您有的话，如果您有任何的子女抚养费方面的协议书或者是法庭命令的话，这些都应该要附上在这个宣誓书里面当做证据。
Requisition, Form F-17.
然后还要填写正式请求书表格 F17。
Another requisition, Form F-35.
还有另外一个正式请求书表格 F35。
A certificate of pleadings, Form F-36.
还有诉状证明书表格 F36。
And a final order in Form F-52.
还有最终的命令表格 F52。
So all these forms final forms that we just listed will cost in total $80 to file.
所以以上的这些最终的表格一起提交的费用是80块钱。
And for the final step, it would be to pick up your divorce order.
最后一步就是领取您的离婚令。
Just as a note, the registry will not notify you when the divorce order has been signed. You have to check in with them.
离婚令被法官核准签署之后，法庭的登记处不会通知您，您必须要与他们确认。
A divorce becomes effective 31 days after the judge signs the divorce order.
所以当您把这些所有的表格都提出之后，当这个法官签署核准之后，在31天后才会生效。
And you can order a certificate of divorce, Form F-56, from the registry anytime after the divorce is final.
可以在离婚令确定后的任何时间从登记处订购离婚证明表格 F56。
And if you're curious about what a joint application for uncontested divorce looks like, we do have a video on the process as well online in our YouTube channel.
Actually, because we still have some time, we can just play
Sure.
the video.
Okay, let me see if I'm sharing sound.
Okay. 所以接下来呢，因为我们刚才所讲的是单独离婚申请的步骤，那我们 AC 在 YouTube 上面有一个讲比较多联合离婚申请的步骤，还有怎么样与我们预约的一个影片。那我们现在会来这个播放。
Okay, so this is the video for joint uncontested divorces in BC.
这是联合离婚申请的影片。
Let me know if there's sound.
Okay, I'll let you know.
At AC Friends of Court, we assist British Columbians in filling out legal forms during weekly workshops. This video will explain how the AC team helps spouses who are working together on a joint application for an uncontested divorce. A joint application for an uncontested divorce is a divorce where spouses agree about their separation issues and want to apply for divorce together. Here's what the process looks like. Step 1. You both must apply to AC separately for help. You have 3 choices: online, the best way, by email, or by calling us. Visit our website at this URL to apply online. Here's what our online form looks like. Please include as much information as you can.
Wait, could you pause for a second, Amy? 就是这个影片的内容就算您不是要申请联合离婚的话，如果您是要申请单独离婚或者是其他的原因和我们预约的话，都可以跟随这些步骤来跟我们预约。
We know you're busy, so please pick the dates that work best for you. You can also apply to AC by emailing legalformsbc@gmail.com. Lastly, you can schedule an appointment by calling us at 778-522-2839. Step 2. You both must separately attend a 30-minute tech check appointment with an AC volunteer to ensure that your computer or device works well with Zoom, a private and secure video conference software that all appointments are run on. You must submit picture ID to us for verification purposes. Step 3. Your workshop appointments will be held over Zoom or by phone, where AC volunteers will work with both of you at the same time. Here is a list of documents that we will need to see before your legal forms appointment. Your marriage certificate, or a copy of your separation agreement, and your most recent income tax notice of assessment if you have dependent children. We will help you fill out the necessary legal forms for a joint uncontested divorce. These forms include a notice of joint family claim, a registration of divorce proceedings, an affidavit desk order divorce, a child support affidavit, a requisition, a certificate of pleadings, and a draft final order. Here are some important notes about your appointments. You both must attend all appointments, and you both must do so from separate rooms if you are attending from the same house or building. This helps provide privacy for both spouses during the entire process.
Do you want
Yes.
to translate that part,
So,
Sharon?
I don't know. Actually,
Oh, wait, I was
Oh, I can attempt.
okay.
你要是为 how do you say, joint application for
联合
uncontested divorce?
如果您是申请联合无争议离婚的话，
Because you're both applying for divorce together,
因为你们两个是一起申请离婚的，
you will have to attend the session with AC together.
如果您要使用我们的服务的话，那您要一起就是一起来跟我们做这个预约，然后在同一时间跟我们预约。
Because you're applying together. However, we do require that both spouses attend from separate rooms in separate private locations.
OK， 所以虽然你们是一起联合申请离婚的，然后你们是在同一个时间跟我们会面，但是我们是希望您可以在不同的房间或者是不同的地点跟我们用视讯的方式来会面。
Oh, what happened?
A certificate of... Here are some important... Attend all appointments.
Oh, I think it's not letting me.
The legal forms, and they are reviewed by a lawyer. The volunteers will then send them to you via email. Step 4. After all forms are filled out, you both must swear or affirm the affidavits and file the forms at a court registry. AC volunteers can offer further instructions at this stage. If you are swearing or affirming the affidavits together, you must do so either at the same time as filing the Notice of Joint Family Claim or after you've filed the Notice of Joint Family Claim.
Sorry, not sure what's going on.
Step 4. After all forms are filled out, you both must swear or affirm the affidavits and file the forms at a court registry. AC volunteers can offer further instructions at this stage. If you are swearing or affirming the affidavits together, you must do so either at the same time as filing the Notice of Joint Family Claim or after you've filed the Notice of Joint Family Claim. If you are swearing or affirming the affidavits separately, one spouse must do so either at the same time as filing the Notice of Joint Family Claim or both spouses may do so after you filed the Notice of Joint Family Claim. Step 5. A divorce order will be signed with the divorce becoming effective 31 days after the judge signed the order. Are you looking for help with your uncontested divorce? Apply to AC Friends of Court today. You have 3 choices: by online, the best way, by email, or by calling us.
OK，然后刚才的这个影片，我们在我们 AC Friends of Court 的 YouTube 频道上面有各种语言的，所以刚才这个是英文的，但是我们也有他加陆语、葡萄牙语、日语、波兰语、印地语，还有中文的这个同样的影片，所以如果你有需要的话，可以去我们 AC Friends of Court 的 YouTube 频道来观看。
If you're interested in future family law information sessions, you're welcome to email us at legalformsbc@gmail.com to sign up for updates regarding our future sessions. And I type the address in the chat box as well.
And I'll just add a little bit in English. So for our future family law sessions, we will delve deeper into the topics that we talked about in our last session. So topics regarding children, spousal support, and property, and other types of family law issues. We'll just address one in each of our upcoming sessions, so it'll be more in depth than our last session. Okay, and then now do the Chinese. 如果您对以后我们在这个家庭法方面的资讯的这些讲座有兴趣的话，请给我们发一个邮件，我们的邮件是在这个聊天室里面，就是 legalforms bc@gmail.com 的这个邮件，您可以就是让我们知道您对我们以后的讲座有兴趣，让我们以后如果有讲座就会发 email 来跟你们说。那以后的讲座呢，今天我们是讲无争议离婚，那上一次我们是把家庭法的这些刚才所说的不同的题目都大概的讲过了一次，但是我们接下来这些讲座会把每一个题目都讲得更详细一点，比如说像孩子或者是赡养费，还有就是财产分割这东西，每一次都会分开来说，会讲得更详细。所以您对这有兴趣的话，就给我们 legalformsbc@gmail.com 的 email 传一个邮件，让我们知道。
So next, there'll be a chance for you to ask some questions during our question and answer period, as well as an opportunity for you to make an appointment with AC if you'd like to do that right now. If you found our presentation helpful, we do please consider giving a tax-deductible donation to us, and there's a QR code here that you can scan to get to the website to do so.
OK， 然后呢，现在我们的就是讲座就是到这个地方，但是如果你有任何问题的话，现在您可以就是跟我们提问，或者是在我们的这个聊天室这边打字来传讯息，让我们知道您的问题。然后呢，接下来这个时间也是您可以跟我们 AC 预约的时间，像我们刚才所说的，如果您有任何的法律上面的文件，表格不知道怎么填，也可以跟我们预约，或者是您有要出庭，我们也可以帮您做准备。然后你就让我们知道，然后我们就帮您预约个时间。如果您觉得我们的讲座有帮助的话呢，请考虑使用以下的这个上面的连结或者是用这个2维码提供可免税的捐款。
I think for questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat box, as well as raise your hand if you prefer to unmute yourself and ask, and we will do our best to answer as many questions as we can.
如果你有任何问题的话，就是可以放在这个聊天室，或者是在 Zoom 上面，你可以用举手的这个功能，让我们知道你有问题。
Okay. So I guess, Charlene, I'll pose the questions for you so you don't have to hop around. But we do have, thank you, Tom, for your question. So Tom asks, I note the 30-day window for spouses to respond and 31 days for post-judge signing, but typically how long does the process take? Is it slow for judges to sign after submitting the documents required?
Do you want to translate or do you want me to translate? I can okay, I can do it. But also, okay, I can try to answer, but anyone else from AC, feel free to jump in if you have things to add. 所以第一个问题就是谢谢 Tom 给我们的问题，就是当我们第一次申请提出这些交给法庭这些文件的时候，要等30天，然后最后法官签署核准了之后，也要等31天。那这整个离婚的程序大概要多久呢？So to answer your question, Tom, it typically, conservatively, we would estimate, give it 6 months, just because, from the time that you start filling out the forms, it might take, a couple of weeks or something to finish them. And then you have to wait that 1 month period. And then you have to sort out how to serve your spouse even before that 1 month. And then afterwards, you have to fill out your second batch of documents, which might take a couple of weeks as well. And then you file it with the court, and then the court sometimes takes a couple of weeks to a couple months to process the things that you filed with them. So it's really hard to estimate, but I think 6 months might be a good conservative estimate to leave that time to give yourself that amount of time to apply for divorce and getting the final order. So it's really, I guess, like just generally it's hard to estimate, just depending on how busy the court is, which we can never exactly know. 所以回答 Tom 的问题就是，其实很难去说，就是这个离婚的程序总共是要多少时间，因为它很多都是要看这个法庭有多么的忙。因为像你提交这些文件之后，这个法庭有时候可能会用几个礼拜或者几个月的时间来处理。那所以很多时间不是你可以掌控的，所以呢，我会说可能大概预计保守一点的话，预计6个月的时间来处理整个就是离婚的申请。
Okay, next question we have from Sarah is, how long will it take for the divorce order to be approved by the court? Can I check this somewhere? And I'll try to translate it. 所以要等着法庭认可我的离婚命令要等多久？我可以用我应该是怎么的调查？
So I don't know, I feel like maybe like someone like Courtney or someone might have more experience with this, but generally if you've filed something, a divorce application, you can call the Family Law Registry at the Supreme Court. And if you just Google BC Supreme Court Family Law Registry, you can find their phone number. And when you call them, usually it'll be a machine that answers, and the machine will say, if you've submitted your divorce application between this and this date, then we're currently processing it. So you'll know from their answering machine whether or not they're processing your order. If they're not mentioning your application, then they probably haven't gotten to it. So that's, I think, the best way to check, to call the registry.
Albert asks, oh, sorry, you have to translate.
Yeah. 那 Sarah 就是刚才问的这个问题，答案就是，如果你想要确认你的离婚申请现在的进度在哪里的话，最好的方式就是打给那个 BC 省最高法庭的家庭法院登记处，BC Supreme Court Family Law Registry。你就是上网查他们电话号码之后，那个你打过去的时候，他们会有一个就是自动的回复，那个回复里面就会说他们现在在处理什么日期到什么日期之间送去给他们的离婚申请。那如果你听到你是在这个里面时段申请的话，那你就知道你的申请现在在被处理。如果您的申请 不是在这个时段之内的话，那你可能就要再等久一点。
So just to add on to that, I've put in the chat box a link to the BC Supreme Court locations and contact information as well.
OK，然后 Amy 现在在我们的聊天室里面有放了卑诗省最高法院家庭法庭的这个所有的地点还有联络方式，如果您需要打电话的话，这里面可以找到电话号码。
So Albert asks, what's the definition of separation? Are there any necessary procedures? 所以 Albert 的问题是分居吗？分居的意思是什么？然后有没有一些必须要做的动作才算是分居？
Separation, there's no sort of one thing that you do to become separated. But there are things that, for example, if both you and your spouse or partner agree that you are separated, then there's no question, you know, the court's not going to require that you show anything to prove that you're separated, especially if both of you are in agreement about your separation date. But if there's any dispute about when you guys actually separated, then the court would look at things like, did someone tell the other person that, hey, like now this is over, we're separating? Or especially if they put that down in writing in a text message or an email, those would be evidence of separation. Separation doesn't necessarily mean you need to live separately physically in a different house. You can still live in the same house, but just kind of are living in a way that shows that you're not romantically together as partners in that way. So for example, if you sleep in different bedrooms, if you eat meals at different times, if you don't go to social gatherings together, if you have your finances separate, all these point to the fact that you are separated. So there's no one set of procedures or one way to do it, but the court would look at these clues. And again, if both of you agree on a date, then there's not too much to worry about with the separation date. OK， 刚才讲的有点长，但是分居或者是分居是什么意思？然后法定上有任何的要求吗？那简单来说，就是法律上面没有规定说一定要住在不同的房子，或者是一定要怎么样才算是分居。有很多人他们可能因为经济关系，或者是因为孩子的关系，决定分居之后还是住在一样的房子里面，但是呢，他们可能是睡在不同的房间，或者是他们在不同的时间吃饭。然后一个很重要的就是，如果其中一方让另外一方知道说他们现在想要分开了，那这也是一个很大的理由，可以去证明说他们其实是就是已经分居了。那这个向对方表示说你要分居了，或是对方这样跟你说，尤其是如果是写在一个 email 或者是简讯里面的话，之后如果有任何争议的话，这些字面上这个书面上的这个东西就可以作为好的已经分居的证明。那如果两个人配偶都已经两个人都同意你们是什么时候分居的话，那其实就不需要太担心怎么样去证明分居，因为你们两个都对这个分居的日期有共识的话，那就是不用太担心。但是如果对分居日期没有共识的话，那可能就要找一些这些证据，这些其他的事情来证明说你们是什么时候分居的。
Thanks, Charlene. Sarah had a question. If I have the divorce order filed from the court already, what do I need a certificate of divorce for? 所以 Sarah 的问题是，要是我已经有一个离婚命令，就是法庭已经给我交上了离婚命令，那为什么需要一个离婚证明书
？Courtney, could you comment on that?
Sorry, I'm trying to multitask. What was the question again? Sorry, Amy.
Oh, no worries. If I have a divorce order filed from the court already, why do I need a certificate of divorce?
certificate of divorce. Sorry, I haven't done family in quite a while. The certificate of divorce, are you referring to the federal one or BC one?
I think there is just
Oh, like the marriage certificate. Yes. Because so similar to the how you need a marriage certificate for your ID or for, taxes and things like that. Same goes for your certificate of divorce. So for any kind of name changes, you'll need to bring that along with you, just like you would with marriage certificate. If the divorce affects how you're filing your taxes at all, you might need your certificate of divorce to prove that you are separated or you are divorced. Claiming any pensions or anything like that, if you're getting a portion of your spouse's pension, you might need the certificate of divorce to prove that. There's a number of different things you might need it for, but that's kind of just a general overview. It's best to get it in the event that you need it. At least you have it on hand. It's a pretty critical document, I'd say.
Okay, thank you, Courtney. OK， 我现在可以做一下翻译，刚才问题就是说，为什么我还需要，就是如果我已经有离婚的这个命令的话，那为什么我还要离婚证明书？因为有些时候，就好像为什么您需要一个结婚证明书一样，有些地方，比如说您如果要领养老金，或者是要分这个养老金，或者是一些税务上面的东西，如果您需要证明你的已经离婚的话，那可能就需要这个离婚证明书。所以 Courtney 的建议就是还是去做申请这个离婚证明书。
And I think
Okay.
Courtney also added, if you want to get married again, you'll need it, which
Right，
is quite important.
就是然后如果您要再婚的话，那也是需要这个离婚证明书。
There's a question from Tom, a follow-up question, and he's asking, can you summarize the advantages of making a joint submission if there are any? So I'll try to translate. Tom 还有一个问题就是说，我们可不可以简洁的讲一下联合离婚有什么好处？如果是有好处的话。
Yeah, so I think the benefit of a joint application is if both of you are on good terms. Sometimes people don't want to work together on things if they're separated, so they would just do the sole process because that way just one person has to do all the work and the other person just doesn't need to do anything at all. But if you both, are on good terms and want to work on it together, then you can do the joint process. The benefit is that you don't have to serve the other person with the notice of family claim. Serving, that can be, this extra step that can sort of be a hassle sometimes. And it will be an extra expense if you hire a process server to do the step of serving the notice of family claim. So that would be one benefit of doing the joint, is that you don't need to serve them anymore because both of you fill them out together. So both of you have those documents. And then you don't have to wait the 30 days because both of you already are filling out the forms together. So I guess that could cut down a little bit on time and expenses. But you just have to make sure that you do all the steps together, which can also be a lot of work. You have to coordinate your schedules to swear and affirm all the documents together and things like that. So there's pros and cons to both. 所以联合离婚申请的好处就是，如果双方都愿意参与填写这些表格，然后提出这个申请的话，那是可以做这个联合离婚申请。那它的好处就是在于，您在提交您的家庭索赔通知了之后，一般在这个单独离婚申请的这个时候，这个您就是要将您的家庭索赔通知就是送达到您的配偶，必须要做这个步骤。那这个送达的步骤，如果您请了一个 文件送达人员帮你做的话，那这是又是一个另外的费用。然后你之后送达之后还要等30天。那在联合离婚申请的部分，您就不需要将任何的文件送达给对方，也不需要等30天，因为你们两个是一起填这些文件的，所以你们两个一起都会有。所以在做这个联合离婚申请，你们可能就可以节省一些时间，还有一些金钱。但是你们必须要什么事情都一起填，一起签名，所以这方面可能有时候也会有些人也会有点困难。
I think Courtney provided some additional information regarding Sarah's question earlier about getting an update in terms of the divorce. And so Courtney mentioned that calling is usually the best, calling the registry to get an update on how the divorce, whether divorce went through or not. Another way is also to check court services online, which will show you when the most recent document or step was taken on the file. And we've provided a link in the chat to court services online.
OK， 然后就是刚才有人问，就是说怎么样确认我的离婚申请现在到哪一个，就是法庭处理到哪一个步骤了。那我们刚才有说，就是打电话给这个家庭法院的这个 registry， 但是另外一个方式来确认，就是你可以到Court Services Online CSO， 那这个网址我们有放在了聊天室这边。在这个 Court Services Online 这个 CSO 的地方，你就可以在网络上确认您的离婚申请现在是到了哪一步。
I think that's all the questions I see. Does anyone else have any questions they'd like to either put in the chat, or you're welcome to raise your hands and unmute yourself and ask as well?
I just also want to note that the slides here and also our chart comparing sole application and joint application, both of these materials were uploaded onto the Eventbrite page. So if that's where you registered, then you can get, these information there. But if you don't know how to access it, you can send an email to legalformsbc@gmail.com. And then we'll try our best to send you the resources as well. 然后就是如果我们今天所看到的这些幻灯片，还有有关单独离婚还有联合离婚申请的这个资讯，我们都有上传到了我们的这个活动，我们讲座的 Eventbrite page， 就是可能你当初就是 sign up 到这个活动的时候的那个网页，在上面可以看到这些资讯。但是如果您找不到的话，您可以 email 给我们，在 legalformsbc@gmail.com 我们的 email 让我们知道你想要得到这些资讯。
I'll give it a few minutes.
有任何问题的话，可以放在聊天室里面。And our workshops are free of charge. So if you need any assistance with any of these processes or forms, then let us know and then we can help you make an appointment. 然后我们的服务是免费的，所以如果您有需要我们的服务的话，就是让我们知道，我们可以帮你做一个预约。
So Sarah had a question. Where can I find information about how to serve the other party? 所以 Sarah 问说，我如何可以找到更多的资料关于如何把文件传送给对方 I think, sorry, Charlene, to interrupt. I think there's a legal aid guide on that. I will try to dig through it while Charlene answers and post in the chat.
Okay, I think what you're going to find is probably more comprehensive than what I can come up with. So I will give you a minute. But generally, yeah, I think it'll come in the information that Amy is going to send. But generally, it should be with an adult who is not yourself and a process server, which I I don't know if the link that Amy provides will give you resources as to which process servers to reach out to. Or if you can just Google to find process servers who can do the job of serving the other party for you.
Okay, so there's a couple links incoming. This is a nice guide by the Legal Aid BC on doing your own uncontested divorce. And it's step by step. And in terms of service, you can refer to this link, and I believe there's some instructions here as well.
OK，所以 Amy 现在放在我们的聊天室里面，就是无争议离婚的另外一个介绍。然后第二个连接就是主要是讲有关serving，就是有关怎么样把这些文件交给您的配偶的这些步骤。我看了一下这个，他没有说在哪里可以找到 process server。I just took a look at the link and I don't think it says how to find a process server.
Oh, how to find a process server?
Yeah. Does anyone in AC have tips for people? Because I know law firms have process servers that they work with, but
in our civil procedures, they can probably find the how to find a process server on the Canley website. I don't have the link right now. I'm looking for it. But the procedure for serving personally is the same as family.
okay.
I'll try to find it now.
Okay, I think I just did a quick Google search. I think there are just process serving companies online. So if you just Google process server BC, I'm seeing a couple results. OK， 所以刚才那个 Jenny 就是说，在 Canly 的网站上面好像有关于就是 process server 文件送达人员的这些资讯，但是他现在在找那个连接，看找不找得到这个资讯。然后或者是您如果就是在Google 上面网站上面搜寻 process server BC 的话，也可以找到很多这个服务。And I guess since we have some time right now, once you serve the other person, like we said in the presentation, you have to, the person who served the other person, so the process server or your adult friend that you asked to serve your spouse, that person will need to provide you with an affidavit of personal service. So sometimes it's easier to hire a process server because they would know how to fill out that form. Whereas with a friend, you have to learn how to fill out the form and then teach your friend how to do it. So there might be some room for error, but usually if you hire a professional process server who's familiar with like court forms, then they'll be able to do that for you, but it comes at a cost that they charge.
I think Courtney put in the chat one process server company, Action Process Serving, and there's a link to it as well.
Okay, thank you, Courtney.
Thanks, Courtney. Sarah had another question, which is, can I file the documents online? 所以我可不可以把需要交上法庭的文件透过网路来交？
Courtney, do you know if self-reps can file online? I think so.
Yeah, through the same court services online that I sent the search link through earlier. There's also an e-filing portal. For most people, you can sign up using your BC EID login to make a login for yourself. Otherwise, you will have to go through the motions. The only thing is, most of the time you do have to set up an account with them and upload a bit of money up front. So usually it's about the fee that you'd expect to incur for filing anyways. You can do that with your credit card, and yeah, you can file it online and then receive those documents back electronically as well.
Okay. And are there like pros and cons to doing online versus in-person filing? Follow-up question.
So my personal con, I would say, is if your item gets rejected, at the registry, there's no fee if it gets rejected. If you're filing it online, there's going to be a fee every single time you have to re-upload it. So every time you upload something for e-filing, you only have to pay that document fee once. So say it's your notice of family claim and it's about $200. You'd only have to pay the $200 once, but every time you upload it after it gets rejected, it's an extra $7 each time. So that's the main con with filing online, is if it gets rejected. So if you have any questions about your filing, or if you're really unsure if you've done it properly, the best people to see is the registry staff themselves. They're very helpful at the counters, especially for self-represented litigants. You won't get charged that $7 if they send you away for the day.
Thank you, Courtney. And now that I'm recalling, I think the people at my firm also say that when you file in person, it gets filed right away. Whereas if you e-file, there's a whole backlog of e-documents that the court needs to get through. So it takes a couple of days, takes longer for something to get filed and submitted online. I don't know if that's been your experience too, Courtney, but okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Oof, okay, let's see if I remember all that. 所以 Courtney 在这个我们的 chat box 里面，就是有放了一个process server，就是文件送达的人员的这个服务的网址 actionprocess.ca。因为可能有一些 process server 他们只帮助法律事务所他们，但是没有帮助就是个人的，所以这个公司可能可以看一下。然后我的另外一个问题就是提交文件提交这些表格在线下真人去法院提交比较好，还是在网络上提交？因为我们刚才说到在 CSO 这个网站可以网络上提交这些文件。那 Courtney 的说法是，就是网络上提交的话，如果你的东西被registry 就是拒绝的话，被这个法院拒绝的话，那你每一次上传，每一次重新上传都要付这个额外的7块钱。但是如果你是真人去法院交这个东西，然后他们不接受的话，那每一次重新提交是不需要付钱的。加上就是你去法院直接提交的话，他们马上就是现场就帮你决定会就是让你提交，或者是他要你回去改。但是如果你是网络上提交的话，那肯定要等几天或者几个礼拜才会得到回复。OK。And Courtney just posted a link in the chat, the link to register for e-filing. And also, I think someone earlier asked if they can copy the chat. I think for Zoom, it's just they don't allow copy and paste. So you just have to click on the link and then save the link separately that way. Okay, 就是 Courtney 在这个聊天室贴上了怎么样网络上提交表格的一个连结，然后OK， 就是如果你想要学更多有关怎么样把文件交给你的配偶的话， Jenny 也放了一个连结，就是这个 www.canly.org 这个连结，这里面你就可以学到怎么样把文件提交给你的，不是提交就是送达给你的配偶。So Jenny posted in the chat about how to serve notice of civil claim. But the procedures are the same for family cases. So if you want to learn more about service, you can click on Jenny's link. It's the canley.org link to learn more about service. Okay, great. That's a good idea, Courtney. So Courtney said in the chat that before we post today's recording onto YouTube, we'll gather all the links shared tonight and include them at the end of the recording. So once, this is recorded, and then when this gets posted onto YouTube, all the links that we've shared tonight will be put at the end of this video. So when you go rewatch it, you can just find all the links at the very end of this video. Thanks, Dom. Not Courtney, thanks, Dom. 所以刚才因为有些人想，就是我们今天有分享了很多的连结，所以当我们今天这个讲座，我们今天有录起来，然后之后我们会放到 YouTube 上面，但是我们放在 YouTube 上面之前，我们会把这个今天所有分享过的连结都放在这个影片的最后，所以如果有一些连结你没有记下来，或者是以后想去找的话，可以去找我们这个影片，然后所有的连结都会在影片最后。A couple more minutes for questions, but thank you all for the really great questions.
So we'll stay here for, I guess, for another few minutes, but I think that concludes our session for today.
Yes. Thank you,
Thanks
everyone.
everyone for joining us, and hopefully you found it helpful.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good evening. 谢谢大家，今天的讲座就到这边。如果有任何问题的话，可以再提问，但是大概就是到这边。
Oh, we have a last minute question.
嗯
My spouse is outside of Canada. May I deliver documents by DHL? 所以 Albert 问说，我的配偶是在加拿大，不在加拿大，我能不能用 DHL? I think DHL is like US UPS or some delivery company. 我可不可以用 DHL 来输送提交我的文件？
Hello again, Courtney. But my understanding is that do they just apply for a substituted service?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So number one, I would usually say if you know anyone outside of Canada in and around where they are that might be able to serve them, or if you want to go as far as hiring a local process service company, I'd usually recommend that first because obviously it's easiest. If that's not possible, then yeah, you can go ahead with trying to get an application for substituted service. To do that, you'll obviously have to prove that you have somewhat of an idea of where they are. So you have an idea of what their last address was and that it's impossible for you to serve them personally at that address. Typical ways substitute service can be instituted is via courier service like DHL, like you've mentioned, which will require a signature. Sometimes you can get approved for email service. I've even seen Instagram service in very rare cases. That has happened as well. But that is an extra step that you'd have to undertake first. You couldn't go straight to service by DHL or anything like that. You'd have to go through with an application and get that granted first.
Okay, thank you, Courtney. Then I'll translate. 刚才 Courtney 所说的就是问题是说，如果配偶住在加拿大以外的话，那怎么样把这些文件送达给他们？那 Courtney 的答案是，如果你知道有你的配偶身边任何人，比如说朋友或是家人，可以把这个文件给他的话，那这就是这样子也是可以，这样子也是可以符合法院的这个规定。但是如果他的身边没有人可以把这个文件交给他的话，那您可能或者是你也可以雇佣一个文件送达人员，像刚才所说的。但是如果这两个方式都不行的话，那您可能就要向法庭申请那个用另外的方式来送达这些文件，比如说你想要用 DHL 或者是你想要用 email 的方式来送达这些文件，但是你就要做一个法庭的申请，那这又是一个额外的步骤。最简单的就是如果有家人朋友可以帮你拿给他的话，那这就是最简单的方式。
Any other questions?
I'm just including in the chat box there, just legal aid's guide and step-by-step for getting substituted service.
在我们的这个聊天室，Courtney 也放了 Legal Aid 的一个网址，就是解释如何申请这个另外的方式来把文件传达给你的配偶。
We have a question. Do I need to serve the divorce order on the other party? 所以我需不需要把法官交的法官下的离婚命令提交给对方？
I think so. Sorry, Courtney, do you know that? Okay, so you should. Okay, say yes. 您需要把您所得到的离婚令，也是要传达给您的配偶。Hi Sarah, your question about serving the divorce order. I was just looking at the legal aid link that we shared, and it says that you must serve the divorce order on the other person as soon as possible, but you can just do that by regular mail or email. So it doesn't have to be personally served. 就是呢，最后您如果拿到你的离婚令的之后，您必须把这个离婚令也传达给你的配偶。那您不需要让他亲自的，就是直接拿给他，您可以用 email 或者是 fax 或者是邮件的方式，或者是就放在他家门口这样子给他。
Albert asks, how about if their spouse changes their mind and no longer agree with the divorce?
I think the divorce takes 31 days to take effect after the judge signs it, because there's that period for your spouse to appeal it, I think, during that period of time. But if at any step during the divorce process before the final order is made, if your spouse suddenly changes their mind and disagrees, they can actually not sure about that. Do you know, Courtney? Like, can they decide to file a counterclaim or?
So what I typically see when people say what happens if they change their mind, a lot of the time you see that in uncontested or joint divorce. They might change their mind and not agree with anything anymore, or they might have decided that I don't want child support and now I do. In which case it wouldn't be uncontested or it wouldn't be joint anymore, and you'd have to go through the appropriate process in that sense. Maybe Jenny would be better at jumping in on this. Anything that I'm missing there, just because it's been a while since I've had to do a uncontested to contested or anything like that. So
I have nothing to add. Yeah, to Charlene and your comments, Courtney.
Hopefully that answered it, Albert.
Yeah, it's just interesting, like what would happen to those forms if you're already at the very last stage and you already filed your like affidavits of divorce and things like that. But anyways, that might also be a question for the registry because they always know what to do.
Such as litigation, it's never easy.
Yeah. I'll quickly translate if I remember what Courtney said. 我刚才说就是这个问题，就是说如果我们申请了无争议离婚，但是呢突然有一个人就后悔，然后说他其实不同意这个离婚，那怎么办呢？就是在法官签署这个离婚令的之后， 30天之后才有正式生效。那这个31天，那这31天的这个时间，另外一方可以就是上诉这个决定，或者是So Courtney, do you want to add something right now, just from what you
Oh, I just included a link just about appealing within the first 31 days, like you mentioned.
right?
And then thereafter, obviously the divorce itself becomes binding. So you can't change your mind about getting divorced, but the terms of that divorce can still be altered. So child support, spousal support, anything like that can still be altered or brought up in litigation. It's just the divorce becomes finalized after 31 days.
Okay, great, thank
So if
you.
you change your mind, you have to get remarried.
OK， 所以呢，离婚这个东西就是这个，如果法官已经下了命令，然后31天已经过了，那就没有办法挽回，就是你就是已经离婚了。但是如果是有关像小朋友的赡养费或者是抚养费这些其他的问题，如果对这些问题有不同意的话，那之后还是可以向法庭申请改变。Okay. I think that's a wrap. So thank you everyone for attending. Or Helen, do you want to do the outro?
You can do it. Don't worry. Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll do it. Okay, thank you everyone, especially special thanks to Charlene and Amy and all the AC volunteers and for all the people who's attending too. So hope you get the information that you expect out of it. And like we have been saying, we will post it on YouTube and then with all the link in at the end so that you will be able to recap what we've gone through tonight. And the link provided. Can somebody do the translation for me? Charlene?
yeah, I can do it. 所以感谢大家今天来到我们的讲座，希望我们今天所讲的都对你有帮助。然后就像之前说的，这个影片会我们编辑完之后会放到 YouTube 上面，所以你就是可以搜寻我们的频道 AC Friends of Court。然后之后我们就会放上这个影片，然后最后也会放上今天所讲到所有的连结。然后也感谢我们今天所有的 AC 的义工。对，就这样子，谢谢大家。
Thank you and good night, everyone. Good night.
晚安。
Good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye. Good night.